The greatest challenge in world building. What is it, you may ask? Various answers may be offered, from technique to realism to competing theories to learning systems like economy, but none of those are actually the greatest challenge of world building. The actual greatest challenge in world building, and what will be a game changer, as they say for you, is knowledge that the goal, a simple thing such as the goal, is the greatest challenge. If you know what the goal is, because if you're a writer, if you're a dungeon master, if you're a game designer, any of those, and many more, you are world building for a purpose, and it's better to understand your goal before you start than to sort of generalistically go and try to find the world within yourself because you think you need a nice world. I mean, that is a legitimate exercise that you can do in your free time, and it's good to do it as well so that you can have parallel technique to compare. And it is a natural striving for a person when they start to world build to just do that, to want to just find as nice a world as possible. But you will later, when you train for a while, when you world build several worlds, you'll notice that better world is happening when you know why you're searching for it. Which things bored you before in other people's world building? Which things made you happy? Which things made you engaged? And how it all came to be. When you realize what are the cutting edges of interest, you need to look into yourself and say, what makes me actually invested and interested, and train your perception of what are the goals. You need to sort of pluck from yourself, because surprisingly, even highly trained people don't understand why they like things unless they really dig into themselves and say, this actual simple thing is really what made me like this so much, and then it expanded on all these things. This simple lever that they introduced made me expand my interest on all these things. That's the sort of thing that happens when somebody is introduced to worlds, because player attention is made to have growth orientated goals for themselves. They want to grow their experience. They want to absorb more of that best stuff. And best stuff came to that pinnacle somehow. It competed with other similar things somewhere. So we need to chart what were the highest criteria, which were the things that really hit our spots, and then see how, in isolation, outside of their native environment, what were they? What were those standards? What made those things apex? What made them the best world, the best game, the best campaign, the best book, the best experience that you have ever had? Once we know, then we purify it to goals. We learn what makes our learning tingle, what makes our pleasure centers activate. Whether it's very simple things or very complex things. Whether it's, pretty people or complex plots, but going even further into details of why something so much specifically gets us into the plot twist. Once we know those things, then we have goals for world building. And this is the most difficult thing to get as a designer that is doing world building, because the ones who do are wonderful, perfect artists in our perception. The ones who don't make things that hit or miss, often miss, because you're throwing at the dartboard blind. No matter even potentially how great of an artist you are, if you're throwing so blind, you might land in the kingdom of perfectly acceptable country of irrelevance. Make a world that's kind of okay, kind of great, kind of nothing that we were currently thinking about, looking for, or even not thinking about or looking for, but expecting to land into our wildest dreams or whatever. It's not surprising, nor is it fulfilling of expectations. It neither overcomes expectations nor makes it into the expectations. It makes it somewhere right below where nobody is unhappy about it, but nobody is gratified either in almost any way. And that can happen very often as long as there's no thought to the goals, to breaking into that frontier, making new headlines inside your own top scores, inside your own Hall of Fame. If you're not trying to break that frontier of art with yourself, then why do you expect that it will leave such an impression to another, right? So always make sure to have the goal that will break that frontier. And then you have defeated the biggest challenge that exists in world building. Everything else, like simulating realistic societies, or realistic consequences, realistic worlds, will come on its own and will be fun and wonderful when you know why you wanted to set up such and such factors in that world so that you achieve a certain race to the peak, as opposed to experiment running for the sake of the experiment. We want the experiment running for the sake of the goal. So, adventure, if you thought this was useful or unique, maybe you can spare me a click and I could see you here next or even every week. Because every week I have such things for you. I make them myself. I'm M, and welcome to dMTable. See you next time.